Hello, I'm back. So, Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. And we are on like the third or fourth page in, third. I've gone here and I've pulled several pencils. And the reason being, I want us to just hit at some areas on this page. And then you'll be able to finish the page off by yourself. Let's see, let's do it like that. I have just pulled several pencils in pairs. So instead of going 3 colors, I'm mainly going with 2. But I just want to show you what can be done. The different elements, like her dress is yellow. So I do have yellow pulled, and because her dress is right here, I'm not going to use yellow right here. I'll save it for over on this side. Does that make sense? So, and if I used these same blues, I wouldn't put it right here. I would put it up over here, or even maybe on the other side. So I hope that helps a little. Actually, I don't think I've even pulled true blues. And I will tell you the colors as I go. This is turquoise. These are all Crayola pencils. Okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start on this pot right here. The part that the light is going to hit first is going to be this part of the dome. Because this comes in, this sticks out. So the light's going to hit this area. Let me get along this lip area first. And then I'll come up. So, again, these will all be Crayola pencils. And this color is turquoise. So, hopefully you saw the book that I got in the mail. Did a review on it. It is a beautiful book in the sense that Jane does just awesome artwork, but also that the pages are nice and thick. So I will be starting in that book after we've finished what we're going to be doing in this book. So that will be happening soon. All right, there we go. And I'm going to get the middle of this lip. I did the middle of each of these. I'm going to do the middle of this, and then what I'll do is I'll do darker on the edges so that it looks like it's wrapped around there. I'll put a little bit here, and this would be getting dark as it goes down, but I'm still going to get all this middle section. So I did not do a video for you while I was on vacation. It was so windy, but relaxing was incredible. And the shells we found, I think we went to 4 different beaches that people had recommended. And we ended up with just a huge pile of shells. So anyway, whoops, let me also do the top part of this handle. And actually the piece that sticks out right there. So yeah, it was very relaxing. We were only gone for 2 nights, 3 days, but it was exceptional. We just, for you that have not seen that video, we went down to Galveston. Just the hubby and I for a couple days. Now see, if I go darker along this edge, it looks like it's curved around. That's the look I'm after. Now, because this is so dark, I've got to get lighter and lighter touch rather quickly. Yeah, by going to that other book, I'm going to be able to go back to some basics also. and just some different techniques that I've been doing in coloring. So that'll be fun. And it's a very current book, so it should be available to most of my viewers. So heavier pressure along the edge, lighter pressure as I come in. Okay, and then like this area in here is really tucked back in, so I'm going to scrunch down on my pencil and really put the pressure in there. All right, and then I'm going to put the pressure back here in the V, and then along the bottom part here, and then just under the lip there. It should make those look like they're tucked a little further in there without having to get a darker color. Now, as I come across here, this is the bottom part of that lip. So I'm going to go all the way, but I'm not applying near the amount of pressure. See how far back my hand is on that pencil? So if you come up here and you're used to bearing down, try to go back some on the pencil and see if that gives you a lighter touch. Because these areas are all the way underneath. They would be darker, but like I said, I didn't grab another color. Now the darkest would be on the bottom here. This is the bottom of that picture where it's just hanging off the edge of that shelf. Okay, let's come on up and do this side. Again, this is way under the lip, so that would be really darker, and it's wrapped back around there. And I'm going to get lighter as I come out. Lighter as I go into that other blue. Sorry, you're right, I did not tell you. This is green blue, so don't panic. It's green blue, and it is still Crayola. So you were thinking it loud enough that I heard you. Not really, but anyway. There's that V. But that V doesn't have to be dark, dark, because it's still on that bowed out part and it's above that ridge. But I will go dark in the very back because it's a V and I want it to look like it's back in there. Okay, so anything you want tucked back around somewhere, be sure you're applying that pressure. And if you're heavy-handed like I am, go out some on that pencil. That's probably the kind of things I'm going to start reviewing a lot in Jane's new book that I just reviewed a couple days ago. See, I don't want to get too heavy here, so I've stayed back on the pencil. Then I can come up and I can do this ridge right there. I can do the ridge that comes across here. And then I'll come through and do this. Do you see how I'm kind of stroking at it? So if this is the paper, the movement I'm doing is just stroking at it. Okay? Because if I go like this, it's going to get several coats at once. If I stroke at it, it's more controlled. Okay? So I'm stroking at it so that it doesn't go as dark as it otherwise would. Then we're going to go over to the other side, and we're going to do the same thing. We want that tucked in, but not as far as this was. just because this is more towards the books and this is open air. Does that make sense? So because it's open air, I won't do it quite as dark. Yeah, we were watching the weather, and it said while we were gone, we got really big amounts of rain here. But then when we got back, it's been nice. It was cool this morning. I had to put on a pair of sweatpants. Well, Texas, I'm not quite used to that. But while we were down at the coast, it was lovely, just really, really windy, but really lovely weather. And then this is behind the rounded part, so I want this just a little bit darker. But not a lot, and I'm going to blend that in a little bit. Okay, and then this comes around, so I can go a little bit here. Now, because I'm only using 2 colors, I have to be careful that I don't get my dark too quick, whereas I don't allow room for other things to be dark. Because once you're at your darkest and you can't get any darker, then what are you going to do? Because this is the underside of that handle, and I want it at the very darkest. So I had to be careful not to do this area too dark, or that area wouldn't show up. Okay? Hopefully that makes sense. Going darker at the edges again so that it does look tucked back around there. And then I'm going to come in with the turquoise again. Okay, back to that turquoise pencil. And this is just where I'm going to blend. Just blending things out. Getting the rest of that tooth out of the paper, or enough of the tooth out of the paper. I won't get it all out until later. But I'll get a fair amount of it out right now. When I do finally finish this book, or when it's almost finished, I don't know. At some point I will do a flip through here on my YouTube channel. It's going all the way across there. So there's one little pot done. Okay? So there you go, one little pot. Let's go to the candlestick, and I'm going to go ahead and leave that bigger for this one, and I'm going to grab a brown. Now this brown may be too brown, it's dark brown by Crayola, and then I'm going to use yellow, golden yellow, and harvest gold. Okay? So I'm using my yellows, my golden yellows, yellow ochre would work if you have that, because what I'm wanting is like a golden candlestick. And we've done things like this before. I'm going to go right through the middle with my lightest shade, just all the way down through the middle. Yeah, I can't cut my hand off, sorry. Okay, so all the way down through the middle, I did with that lightest shade, which was yellow. All right, so now I'm going to golden yellow, and I'm coming out just a bit on each side, all the way down through there. Metals are not real hard to do. Just find your shades. And I'm going to go all the way under that because that's where it rounds back underneath some. In fact, I'm going to do this a little darker because it's on the bottom. Okay, next would be the Harvest Gold. I'm going to come to the sides because this is what's going to help it make it look rounded by being darker at those sides. Okay, there we go. I say okay a lot, don't I? I don't know if that's good or bad. Down in those V's, then the edges. Maybe if I come up here you can see a little better. And then I'm going to come all the way across. Next I am going to dark brown. Now I am going to apply light pressure because I think this is too dark. But this is another way, instead of grabbing another pencil, that I can show you how to make things work with what you've got. So this is in the back. I want it darker. Do you see the difference in this side and that side? Let's go over and do this side. Light pressure. Blending as I come out. If I want it to look further back, press a little harder. Blend as I come out. I'm just going to do the bottom section that's wrapped under. Same thing here. I'm going to do this back here a little darker. So that it looks like it's back there in the background. Just my V's. Just those little V's right there. Same thing over here coming out. Making it look like it's wrapped around there. That is all being shadowed from this. That's why I went just a little darker on that. Same thing here underneath. And then just briefly down those sides. And just a bit right here on these edges. And there's gold candlestick. And when you pull out, you can see how that blends nicely with the other items on the page. Time-wise, already 20 minutes? We're going to have to come back and hit this page another day. Let's go with magenta and maroon. Let's see how these go together. Let's do a book. Yeah, I'm now standing up to color and leaning over the table. Not best for the back, but best for me to be able to blow things up for you. I'm doing a light touch, so normally I would be down here on my pencil. Do you see I'm further back? That's how I manage that light touch. Being careful at the corners that I don't go into the bookcase itself. I will probably end up doing that in a brown, the bookcase itself. Then that was magenta. Now I'm going to go to the maroon. And I'm going to come in here and go along the edge. I want that to look like it's wrapped around there some. I'm going to get at the corners. I'm going to come up that other edge. Now, there's all this intricate work in between. So I'm going to come up on the pencil some and just go ahead and go over all those little lines. Little filigree area there. More lines. There's some sort of a little scribbly design there. I'm not being real perfect on these because these are books sitting on a shelf and every little bit wouldn't show up. Now, I'm going to go darker here and then fade. Darker in my corners and then fading up. That just really anchors that book. I'm going to do that a little bit up here, but not quite as drastically. And I'm going to really get it more on this side because that's the side that's tucked in next to the shelf. So to me, that would be just a little bit darker than the other side would be. Okay, and that's how you would finish out all the books on the page. All right, there we go. Let's look at this picture. I have like 8 minutes until I know my tablet will time out. So we're going to go with Purple Heart. And I'm just going to get the color on. I took more time with that first one to show you each little bit. Therefore, I figure with this one, I don't have to be as picky showing you everything. And I have a third color in this one to add. I wanted to show you both ways, with just 2 colors and with 3. Okay, so it's just on. It needs to be blended more. I'm aware of that. Then I'm going to go to Violet Purple, and this is where I am coming in from the edges. Darker on the edges, lighter in the middle, darkest in those V's. I'm going to go under that just a little because that lip sticks out. So it might be casting a little bit of a shadow there. I am not being near as neat on this one, no, and purposefully. You'll see in a little bit. When you get to a page and you know that you've not been as neat, and this is something that I teach quite often, remember you can come back and blend with your lightest color that you've used. And that will allow the picture to look better in the end, because right now that looks pretty tacky. Again, this is a teaching moment. Now I'm coming in with Plum, which is my darkest. I love the Plum in Crayola pencils. Just a really nice color. So now I'm getting more in my corner areas and along the edges. In those corners, in the V's, so to speak. Now on this, I'm going to get this bit of the handle too. So you can see there's lots of areas on here that are not blended. I'm going just under that to make that little thumb piece look like it's raised. All right, coming back with my first color, Purple Heart. Now's when we make everything happen. So now I'm going to come back, add another layer, and start smoothing out this purple. So instead of using any kind of a blending tool, I'm using my lightest color in that area of the picture as a blender. Hopefully you can see how well that's blending out. From where I am, it's looking a whole lot better. Let's see what you're seeing. Yeah, see, you're still seeing way up close. Depending on what you're looking at this, it may actually be larger for you than what it is for me. This entire pot is, let's see, 1.5 inches, something like that, if a knuckle is 1 inch. So, yeah. So when you see things up close, microscopic, it is going to be messier. You're going to see more of the detail. But there I'm able to blend most of this. Just showing you that no matter how messy you start with it, you can come back in and add layers and get it to look better. Now see, I can still come back in with my violet purple, and we're almost out of time. And I can still deepen this and then blend it in, because this base is where it comes in at some. Then blend it in. Just play with it, okay? It's not finished until you're finished. But see, that's how small that little thing really is. So I can still come in with darks, and I can push this color in there to where that still looks like it's further back in there. Okay, so I'll continue to play with this, and I'll be back in a few days and we'll do some more. Well, you know how to do books, so you can actually finish all the books out. You can probably finish all that page out by yourself.